Welcome to United for Good. I'm Carrie Cooper, the Community Impact Director at the United Way of Central West Virginia. You may think you're a little confused or on the wrong channel, but we decided today to flip the script. Today we're going to interview Margaret O'Neill. Margaret, can you give us a little bit of information about what you see in the future of the United Way?
Oh gosh, nothing but solutions. You know, I think we're at a point here in the Kanawha Valley. Our United Way serves 6 counties. We're Kanawha, Putnam, Boone, Logan, Clay, and Braxton. And I really think that, you know, that we're at a place through our community needs assessment and through lots of data collection that our United Way, with our funded programs, with our partnerships, with what we know from inside the organization, that we're really on the brink of some wonderful solutions to help children and families and young people in West Virginia thrive and grow and want to live here and stay here and raise their kids here. And, you know, it's a really exciting time to be part of the United Way.
It is, it is. So when donors say yes to the United Way, what does that look like?
Oh gosh, you know, there's so many ways you can say this is so weird. Let me just say that. This is so weird for somebody to be asking me questions. But I'm really glad you're doing that, Carrie. Thank you. So what do I think saying yes means is yes to participation, yes to support of my community. Yes, I think kids matter. I think community matters. I think it's saying yes to, again, to solutions. So many people talk to us about Band-Aids, right? That we raise money and we put Band-Aids on problems. And yes, maybe a kid gets fed for today, or Carry the Shoe Fairy provides shoes for today. But what happens, and how do they sustain that? How do they stay full? How do we keep shoes on feet? And the only way for us to do that is just to continue to grow programming and to grow education and to make sure people know what the struggles are and to call attention to the struggles. If you've been blessed to, you know, never have grown up in a situation where you were hungry, or never have grown up in a situation where you might not have had the shoes you wanted, it's a big, hairy deal. And so for kids to go to school and not have what they need, or not have the backpack, or not have that, you know, I just say this story because you always ground me, but, you know, we were giving away backpacks and kids were being picky. And I'm like, what the heck? Take the backpack. And Carrie's like, but it matters. Like, you know, people look at your backpack and other kids look at your backpack. And so for me, saying yes to the United Way means you trust us. Mm-hmm. It means you have confidence in our ability to do what you want done with your donor dollar. And I would say to anybody, we know how important that dollar is. Like, we work super hard for our money. We certainly appreciate that every single person who chooses to donate to the United Way works super hard for their money. And there's a reason why you choose us. There's a reason why you say yes. And so it's confidence and trust and knowing that your dollar is going to impact people in the way that you want to. And, you know, last year that impact was 83,343 people, because when you said yes, I said yes, people around us said yes. We were able to put those dollars together, united. There's a trick to that. The United Way, united together, is we're able to make a difference and we're able to make solutions. And that's really what we're focused on.
So when we talk about Band-Aids, right? Sometimes a Band-Aid is all you need, right?
It is. Yep. So
there's Alice. I'm going to let you tell us about Alice. But Alice sometimes just needs a Band-Aid till she can get to her next moment.
Sure. So Alice is an acronym, and, you know, we encourage you to learn more. It's a free database, and, you know, we can share that with you at unitedforalice.org. But Alice is an acronym, so it stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, but Employed, right? And so my age, as an older person in this kind of community service work, we used to refer to those people as the working poor or the underemployed. And, you know, I remain committed that don't feel good for somebody to look at you and go, yeah, I'm really sorry, Carrie, you are the working poor today. And man, you're like, you go home and you're like, what?
But I worked my guts out.
Right. And so how's that?
Right.
Good. And so Alice was created by United Way in New Jersey many years ago to really focus people on why there's a challenge, why a family can't make ends meet, why we have people living paycheck to paycheck, how come kids struggle with food insecurity. And so Alice is data. It's a way for us to have a conversation. So I've been doing this for a long time, and even though we know it, right? We know it from experience, we know it from the people we talk to every day, people can still say to me, well, you don't have anything to prove it. Prove it. Show me. Right? And so the data that we're able to get from Alice is amazing, and it can be looked at by zip code, by congressional district, by community. You can compare our state to other states. And what I love about it, two things I love about it. I love that we can look at a program in Virginia or in a county that might be very similar to Clay County, and they have some wonderful program that's making sure kids get through school on time, or that they get through school able to read. And we can mimic that program in West Virginia in one of our counties, and it costs us nothing to take that model and tweak it and make it our own and bring that to our community. So I love that. And I love that it's trackable. So if we create a program, right, and we look at our data and we go, okay, single female-headed households in West Virginia with kids, so mommies, single mommies with kids, or sometimes single daddies with kids, really are struggling right now. In some of our counties, as much as 80% of them are ALICE or below the federal poverty line. So that means they're having trouble working paycheck to paycheck. Every month is those last 3 days of the month are, where am I going to find food? And am I going to have to do, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and it just so hit home because I can remember that. And they were like, on some nights of the week in the later part of the month, we had pancakes because my mom had flour, eggs, and milk, and we could almost always put together pancakes for dinner. And I still love pancakes for dinner because the same thing happened at my house. And so it's just super important for people to remember that paycheck to paycheck life is nothing but stress. It's stress for the parent. It's stress because the kids know the parent's stressed. It's how am I going to ask for money to go to that school play or to go to something that a field trip, and I know if I ask mom, she's going to say no because we don't have money to eat, not to mention go on a field trip, right? And so that Band-Aid for Alice is that I'm working, right? And I've got a budget, and I'm living by my budget, and I'm doing every single you asked me to do, except something happened.
Right.
My dog got sick. My kid got sick. My kid's tooth fell out, and I don't have dental care because ALICE families often don't have health care in the jobs that they work, right? Our number one ALICE employee, what they do for a living are cooks. And so if I'm a cook in West Virginia, depending on where that cook might be, there's a really good chance I don't have health care or dental care, not only for myself, but especially not for my kiddos. And so it's that one thing that can put Alice in crisis. I got sick. I got COVID. I had to miss 3 days of work. I didn't want to. I didn't feel bad, but my people told me I couldn't come until 3 days were up, right? And so all those things, one thing at a time, just create crisis in families that are living paycheck to paycheck. So because of great funders, not donors, right? So foundations, not Carrie and I as donors, but foundations who look at our work and go, you know what, we really want to support those ALICE families. We really want to make sure that if it is just that one-time Band-Aid, that the United Way has money to support those programs. And so we have that now, thanks to you and our funders. But that allows people to call us. We have a process. It's not a handout by any means, but there's a process. And if they can answer the questions and check the boxes, and we're confident that they're doing everything we ask them to do, then many times we can spend $60, literally, and keep somebody from getting their power turned off or getting their water turned off or having to make decisions about how they're going to eat for a week. And so ALICE is a big focus of our work. It gives us data, and it's trackable. So if we start that program, and I started that sentence and I'll finish it, but if we start that program for single or for moms with kids or for young people who are leaving West Virginia, in 2 more years we're going to get that report again, and it's going to show us if that number went up or down. So so it's not just tossing money into the wind to say, oh, fingers crossed, hope this works. It's 2 years from now, we've been doing this, we've spent this much money on this many people, and we know for a fact that those families are better, or that this programming has kept 25-year-olds or less in West Virginia because we're seeing them working. We've seen an increase or uptick in people that age going to college or going to trade school or whatever it looks like to keep young people in West Virginia. So ALICE is a big focus of our work. If you'd like to know more about that, this is a commercial for ALICE. We'll do a lunch and learn. So was at an organization yesterday. We bring you lunch. We take an hour. I do about 40 minutes on ALICE, give you a chance to ask questions, learn more, and then really talk about how you as an employer can support the people in your organization who may be ALICE, whom you may not even know is struggling with a budget or how they're going to make ends meet, and how we can have that conversation and really help organizations get their folks where they need to be. And so if you're interested in that, just reach out to us at the United Way office, and we're happy to talk about ALICE all day, every day.
So if I'm Alice and I'm listening to this conversation right now, how do I seek help if I need it?
Yeah, just call us. So I know they put numbers and emails and websites on the screen, but 304-340-3500. We're easy to find. We're on the corner of Court and Smith Street. If you're in Charleston, we're open 8 to 4. You're welcome to come in. You don't need an appointment. And either Carrie, myself, or one of our other team will sit down with you and talk about what your struggle is. I will say that we ask people to be super honest. We need you to tell us for real and true what's happening. And then for real and true, we're going to tell you if we can help you or not. And I won't sit here and say, if you are listening and you go, I'm that mom, I've got 5 kids, I'm working my butt off, I've got 3 jobs, the oldest one's watching the other 4 every night, just so I've got somebody in the house. Please help me, right? We need to talk to you. We need to see what the help is, what kind of direction we can give you, how we can support your family, and most importantly, how we can move people out of that paycheck to paycheck range and have a little comfort level that there might be $300 in savings in the bank. So if something bad does happen, I've got a little bit of cushion over here to kind of get our family through that. So please reach out to, if you are listening and you think you're that Alice family, or your water's been disconnected, or your kids are hungry, or you need shoes, we're your first call. And then we're going to try to direct you as best we can to resources that can support your need.
So if I'm an employer, right? None of my employees are Alice, but we'll not go down that path. How do I support those Alice families?
It's money. It's always going to be money. When people say, how can I support that? We can't do any of the work that we do without funding. We're not a federal agency, so we don't get federal money. We don't get state, just the, here you go, we love you, you're doing great work. We don't get that. The majority of our dollar comes from donations. Most of them, people like you and I that do $2, $3, $4 a paycheck that we can keep within our budget and still take care of our people and know that that money's all going into a pot to take care of a bunch of others. But if you're a larger company, and maybe this is the first time, you're flipping the channel and you're like, oh my gosh, there's that big mouth blonde Margaret talking. And she said, come learn more about this project. We want to sit down with leadership, talk to you about what a donation to United Way would look like, and most importantly, what's important to you as a company. So if your company's, mission or what you look at as big picture from your team is, we want all kids to be able to read at grade level. And we want to talk to you about how your donation could work towards putting volunteers in schools, to help kids read and to read to them once a week or once a month. If your passion from your company or people experiencing homelessness, we want to talk to you about the work we do around that and how we can support that and how your team can be a part of what, again, is the solution, because we believe everybody should have safe, affordable housing, whatever that looks like for you. And so we tailor, that's the best way I can say that. We really try to tailor what you want and what's important to your company to how our programming works and how we can make both of those things come together and make everybody happy.
So I think the United Way is fabulous, obviously.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm an employer, right, of another organization. How can I manage to get my employees behind that mission as well?
So volunteers, I think, are the best way to get people involved. And, we're just recently coming off of our 19th annual Day of Caring. So if you're not familiar with that, on the 3rd Wednesday of September every single year, for what has been 19 years, our United Way gathers volunteers and projects, and we turn people loose in the community for a day. So Day of Caring t-shirt colors this past week were lilac, kind of a light purple, and they were beautiful. And as I left the house that morning, my husband said, there's going to be purple shirts all over Charleston today. And I'm like, not just Charleston. There were projects in all 6 counties. Over 1,000 volunteers. A project still going on today. If you'd like to know how to get involved in that, we still have a virtual project open where people are collecting some things for Charleston Canal Humane Society. We've just really had a kind of a tough year, and we really want to support them, so we're gathering stuff to take care of them. But people come and volunteer on Day of Caring, and then they go, well, this feels really good. I didn't have to spend a dime, and all kinds of things happened today. Good stuff happened today. We saw people pack bags for kids, and we saw people clean trails, and we saw work at Canal State Forest, and all those things, because the community matters. So we fund programs, lots of them, but we also participate with people that we don't fund through things like volunteerism, right? So as we sit here today, there's, how old is our little Amelia? She's 8th grade, maybe?
14-ish.
So 13, 14 is volunteering at the office because she needs volunteer hours for her school. So we're starting them out young, right? She's coming. This is her second time, I think, that she's, excuse me, been a part of our United Way. So she's volunteering her time, and she's from a household that maybe doesn't struggle, right? Or doesn't struggle as often as others, but she's learning, and she's learning to be compassionate and empathetic and all the things that we want kids to grow into as adults. And so the best way I always think to get started and really find your passion is to pick some place to volunteer. We hope you'll pick us. There's always something to do.
Always.
And it can be one person or it can be 10 people. It can be, I just want to do a team building exercise. And so we're going to give you something to help with that. Maybe you want to come to the office and see an Alice presentation, and we're going to invite you and feed you to come to that. But once you get involved with us and once you kind of see that whatever your passion is, we touch that. If it's domestic violence, if it's a situation about children, if it's something to do with veterans, whatever your passion is, if it's socks for Shocktober, and we can talk about that, but whatever it is, we want you to feel comfortable as a volunteer, and we want you to know that that matters. Whatever matters to you matters to us, and we want to find a way to bring you into our fold, and then most importantly, keep you there.
Agreed. So we talk about seasons in our office. It's such and such season, it's this season, it's that season. What season is it right now?
Well, sometimes it's duck season, as you can see the ducks. Sometimes it's dancing season when there's mirror balls, but this is campaign season. And so this time of year is when the United Ways across the state and across the country really focus on our message to the community. And we call those workplace campaigns, sometimes where we can come to your workplace and in a much shorter version than what you're hearing with Carrie and I today, but in a much shorter version, what the United Way does, what it means, and how your organization can get involved. And the main meat of our money comes from October, November, and December, where we're able to come to companies, and then the first pay period in January, payroll deduction starts coming into our United Way, and most often the employee's forgotten that they even did it, right? It's a pre-tax deduction from your paycheck. Sometimes you see a 3-cent increase on your paycheck, and you're like, where'd those 3 extra pennies come from? Well, it's because you made a donation to the United Way. You don't miss it, but we feel it. We feel every penny of it, and what mattered to me, so I'll tell this story really quickly. I had always wanted to be a charitable donor. I'm an only child. I watched my mom write checks. I'm like clean the church, all the things, right?
Right.
And so I get to adulting, and I've got my first kind of big girl job at a radio station, and going to be a charitable donor. Christmas comes, I like shoes, I buy myself shoes, no charitable donation, right? Not a very good person. Not a very good person, but true story. And so I go to work for this radio station, and our employee benefit time, which a lot of companies have, where they talk to you about if you want to increase or decrease your deductions, or if you have to fill out new insurance forms. We're sitting in this big meeting, and they let this lady come and talk about the United Way. It was 1990. It was the first time I'd ever heard those two words together at the same time. I had no idea what the United Way was. And this lady gives this presentation, and she goes, the radio station lets you do that through payroll deduction. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, they take $1 or whatever, $2, whatever you want out of your paycheck, and you become a charitable giver. And that was the most amazing thing to me. And I started doing payroll deduction in 1990, and I still do it today. It's the easiest way for me to make my annual contribution to this organization. And so I just challenge you if you're a company. So sometimes companies say to me, I don't want to make them. Well, I'm not going to make them, and you can't make them. That's the first thing I would tell you. You can't make somebody full with their paycheck.
No.
But what we want to give them is an opportunity.
Right.
And when I didn't have it, I felt bad. Sometimes people feel bad because they can't make that contribution. So I say to employers, why are you stealing their joy? Like, if you can give $100 as a company, and they want to give $2 as an individual, how come you get to feel good but you don't want them to?
Right.
And so for me, as someone who would say to any business owner or leadership, what would keep you from at least letting them hear about us? Because here's why. We start out with, let's talk about West Virginia 211 and how you can get resources. Let's talk about Alice and how some of because we go talk to companies. I was at one yesterday when the majority of the people I was having that conversation with, I knew were living paycheck to paycheck or less, right? Really struggling. And so we focused on, here's what we can do to help you. If you're in that situation, you need to call us for this. If you know somebody in your neighborhood or in your church or in your community that's really struggling, here's how you can reach out to United Way. And the very last thing we talk about is if and only if you are able and capable, and it's not going to take away from your family, and you want to make that charitable contribution, here's the easiest way for you to do that. So I don't know why people wouldn't want to hear about what we can do, and I promise there's no pressure. Nothing bad happens. If you look at me at the end of the day and we had 100 people in the room and not one person gives $1, God bless you. We're off to the next one.
Right.
But at least they know, and at least they know if they need help, who they can reach out to.
I feel very blessed to have the ability to give a dollar a paycheck.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that your mother taught you early.
She tried. God bless her. She tried.
She did. She taught you early. So let's talk about the next season, right? We're in campaign season right now, so it's workplace campaign season. What's next?
Oh, well, so in conjunction with campaign season, October falls right in the middle of that. So we do Socktober.
Right.
Socks are amazingly versatile piece of clothing. And so from it being gloves when it's really, really cold, to double socks if your feet are freezing, to other things that people use them for out of creativity and necessity, socks are huge. And then you know as well as I do, when the Carry the Shoe Fairy delivers shoes to children, they get clean and new socks to go with those clean shoes. But we also do adult socks. And they are one of the biggest requested items at any homeless shelter or any shelter. And so we can share those with our agency partners and make sure everybody's got socks through the season. We can label a barrel for you and bring it to your company so that everybody can throw in a pair of socks. And sometimes that's another easy way to kind of get involved with us, right? It's not asking you for money. Exactly.
Right.
But you might be at Walmart or Dollar Store and you see tube socks for $2 and it's like, oh, I can do that. And I'll take that and I'll throw them in the barrel at work and then I've contributed. Again, I feel better because I've made a contribution back to our community. So Socktober is Socktober.
Right.
We're right in the middle of Christmas Bureau season.
Yes.
So pretty please, if you're passing through and you see us and you have children and you are concerned about how you're going to meet Christmas needs, you can't wait till December. I know it's hard. We know it's hard. We know right now you're focused on whatever's happening in school that happens in October, and you've got to worry about testing and making sure your kid has whatever they need, but we can't wait till December to talk about Christmas. So give them the basics on when they need to get that application in.
Before October the 7th. So it's right now.
We are upon it.
It is right now. So you need to go to the United Way, cwv.org, and under the How We Help tab, you will find the Christmas Bureau. Go straight to that site and apply now.
Okay, and if you have any questions about that, call the office, and
Right.
we're going to get you through that. If you don't have internet, we're going to get you through that. If you're challenged with, I can't maybe read that word or I don't understand what they're asking me for, don't hesitate to call them. We're going to walk you through that. But if you need Christmas assistance, the time is now, and there are lots of great organizations that work with us in the Christmas Bureau to prevent duplication, right? So we want to serve as many families, as many kiddos as we can, and using that application process to make sure that we are touching as many people as we can is the best way to do that. So please, please, please go through and fill out your Christmas information. And then we also are approaching cold weather, although I detest it and don't want to talk about it. We'll be having cold weather drives, right? And so when it gets about 40 degrees, so whatever that looks like, if it's November, whatever, we put a coat rack outside of our office. Again, we're on the corner of Court and Smith Street. And the rack says, if you need one, take one. If you have one, leave one. And we literally give away hundreds of coats every year. And have donated hundreds of coats every year. So if you got that coat in your closet and it's 2 sizes too big, 2 sizes too small, don't wear it anymore, I hate it, I'm blah, 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 whatever that is, donate it. And we will make sure that it's put to use, and that includes little people coats, because we often see people drive up on our parking lot, our doors are glass, and we have lots of windows. And so people don't have to come into the office, but we can often see them park in the parking lot, walk up to the coat rack, get whatever they need for their kids or themselves or both, get back in their vehicle and go on about their way. And it's a very private, not feel bad way to make sure that you get coats. And what people have to remember is I might save the money that I would have bought a coat for, and then I can pay my power bill. Or, I got that coat for my kid, and now I can put dinner on the table for the next 2 days. So there's always that balance and always that trade out when you're trying to make ends meet. And again, you're talking about in West Virginia, more than half of the people in West Virginia are living paycheck to paycheck. And so that's the struggle is real, right? And so you got Socktober, you got Christmas, you've got cold weather drive, and then on December the 11th, we'll be announcing season 4's cast of Dancing with the Stars. And so it is season 4, right?
Yes, ma'am. Season 4.
And so that'll be coming up in May. So if you don't know that there's something to do every minute of every day at the United Way, let me just tell you, there is.
It is continuous. It is continuous. Our seasons move about like West Virginia seasons. We may have all 4 in one day.
That's exactly right.
Let's talk about the best place to study us, right? So we were told one time by a donor, I Googled you this morning. What is the best place for them to go to look?
Well, you can do that. I about had a heart attack, I won't lie. Because if you know the internet, the Google could be anything from a United Way from Timbuktu to Alaska. And so what she ended up with was United Way Worldwide, which is great. We are a member of the United Way Worldwide family. It is the most recognized nonprofit brand in the world. So if you're wondering about trust, people trust us. And I will just say that's in disaster too, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're approaching, a hurricane. We've seen all those things, and it always makes me cry. It always touches me that I'll be watching a news story and somebody on the news story will say, and if you need something, you call your local United Way. And if that's Hawaii, or if that's somewhere in the Gulf Coast, or if it's here in West Virginia when there's a flood or a tornado or a fire at the Regal apartment house, or the West Side loses gas for 3 weeks, or whatever that disaster is, your United Way is also those people. And so Google us if you want to, but the best way for me, because we are autonomous in the work that we do in our 6 counties, is reach out to us. I'll come see you, make an appointment, you come see us, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. We aren't going to lie to you, and we're not going to get mad if you don't say exactly what we want you to say, because the whole point of a conversation, right, is you going, well, I think you do blah, and me going, well, I get that, but we don't. And we have a wonderful CFO, and I tell people every day, if you want to know where your money's going, come see us, and I'll take you to him, and we're going to show you exactly, penny to the penny, how we spend your money and where your money goes, and that you can safely make that contribution and know that you've done what you wanted to do with your hard-earned dollar, and again, that it's going to do the work you want done.
Thank you, Margaret. I hope that we have spread a new light on some of the things that we do at the United Way, not just a specific program, but the umbrella of. Thank you to the West Virginia Library Commission for allowing us to tape here every week. Thank you, Margaret. And if you have questions, you can visit us at our website, which is unitedwaycwv.org, or you can call us at 304-340-3500.